Welcome to another informative session from MCAN Institute. Today we dive right into a GMAT critical reasoning question. Here it is. You're presented with a situation, an argument, or a plan, wrapped neatly in a few lines of text. Now the GMAT expects you to break it down, analyze it, evaluate it, and then choose the best answer from a set of options. Sounds challenging, right? Well, that's exactly what a GMAT critical reasoning question is all about. It's not just about understanding the text in front of you, but also about comprehending the underlying logic, the argument structure, and the question's specific requirement. It's like being a detective, but instead of solving a mystery, you're solving an argument. And just like a detective, you need to be sharp, analytical, and observant. Now that we have our question, let's dissect it in the next segment. First, we tackle argument construction questions, a common type on the GMAT. Dive into the world of argument construction questions. These are the questions that test your ability to understand and create a strong argument. They often present a situation or a set of facts, and then ask you to select the choice that provides the best support for a specified position. Here's the strategy. The first step is to carefully read the question stem and the argument. It's crucial to identify what position you are being asked to support. Then review the answer choices, keeping in mind that the best answer will strengthen the argument in a significant way. Now, don't get trapped by irrelevant information or weak connections. Remember, the correct answer should provide strong support for the argument, not just a vague or weakly related point. Let's illustrate this with an example. Suppose the argument is, since the new mayor has been in office, crime rates in the city have dropped significantly. Therefore, the mayor's new policies are effective in reducing crime. You are asked to strengthen this argument. A strong answer choice might be, after the mayor's policies were implemented, police reported an increase in crime prevention. This directly supports the argument that the mayor's policies are reducing crime. On the other hand, a weak answer choice might be, the mayor has been in office for 6 months. While this statement is related to the argument, it does not strongly support the argument that the mayor's policies are effective. And there you go. That's your strategy for tackling argument construction questions on the GMAT. Practice this approach with a variety of argument construction questions to get comfortable with the process. Remember, argument construction questions test your ability to understand and strengthen an argument. Next, we move to evaluation of a plan questions. These questions are a fascinating component of the GMAT critical reasoning section, and they challenge you to assess the effectiveness of a proposed plan or strategy. Evaluation of a plan questions are typically characterized by a scenario where a strategy is proposed to achieve a certain goal or solve a problem. The question may then ask you to identify an assumption that would make the plan work, or to point out a potential issue that could undermine the plan's effectiveness. The best approach to these questions often involves identifying the goal of the plan, understanding the proposed strategy, and then critically evaluating whether the strategy could indeed accomplish the stated goal. This involves a careful reading of the question, a clear understanding of the plan's purpose, and a keen eye for hidden assumptions or potential pitfalls. Let's illustrate this with a sample question. Suppose a city council proposes a plan to reduce traffic congestion by introducing a congestion charge for vehicles entering the city centre during peak hours. A question might ask, which of the following, if true, would most seriously undermine the effectiveness of the council's plan? In this question, the goal of the plan is to reduce traffic congestion, and the proposed strategy is to introduce a congestion charge. To answer this question, you would need to identify an assumption that, if not true, would undermine the plan's effectiveness. For instance, an effective answer might be, most of the traffic in the city centre during peak hours is caused by vehicles whose drivers are not sensitive to additional charges. By picking this answer, you're pointing out a potential pitfall in the plan's strategy. If most drivers are not sensitive to additional charges, then the congestion charge may not effectively reduce traffic congestion, and that's the essence of evaluation of a plan questions, assessing the effectiveness of a plan by identifying its assumptions and potential pitfalls. Evaluation of a plan questions require you to assess the effectiveness of a plan or strategy. So, sharpen your critical thinking skills and get ready to tackle these intriguing questions on your GMAT journey. Lastly, we delve into argument evaluation questions. These are questions where you're asked to evaluate the reasoning behind an argument. You're not asked to fix or build it, but to critically examine it. You could say it's like being a detective, looking for the strengths and weaknesses in the argument's logic. So how do you tackle these types of questions? First, read the question carefully. Identify the conclusion and the premises leading up to it. Keep an eye out for any assumptions or gaps in logic. These are often the areas where the argument is weakest. Now let's apply these techniques to a sample question. Imagine a scenario where a company is planning to increase its profits by cutting down on unnecessary expenses. The argument is that this will lead to higher profits as less money will be wasted. The question might ask, which of the following, if true, would most weaken the argument? As you read through the answer choices, consider each one in terms of the argument's logic. Does it expose an assumption? Does it reveal a gap in the reasoning? The correct answer might be something like, the company's profits are primarily driven by sales revenue, not expense reduction. This statement weakens the argument by pointing out an assumption that reducing expenses is the main driver of profits. Remember, your task is to evaluate the argument, not to agree or disagree with it. You're looking for the answer choice that most effectively critiques the argument's reasoning, whether it strengthens or weakens it. In conclusion, argument evaluation questions are all about critical thinking. They challenge you to examine an argument's logic and identify its strengths and weaknesses. They ask you to be a detective, to scrutinize the premises, spot the hidden assumptions, and expose the gaps in reasoning. And they reward you when you can do all of this quickly and accurately on test day. So keep practicing these techniques. The more familiar you are with them, the better you'll get at quickly identifying and answering argument evaluation questions. And remember, argument evaluation questions challenge your ability to critique an argument's reasoning. Mastering GMAT critical reasoning questions also involves handling different difficulty levels and answer choices wisely. Now let's delve into these aspects. First, we have to understand that GMAT is designed to test your ability to analyze and evaluate written material. The difficulty level of questions varies, but it's essential to maintain a steady pace throughout. Don't let a challenging question rattle you. Instead, take a few extra seconds to understand what the question is asking for and then proceed with a clear mind. Remember, it's not about how many questions you answer, but how many you get right. Next, let's talk about the art of choosing the best answer. When you're faced with multiple choices, it's easy to feel overwhelmed. But don't worry, there are strategies you can employ. The first step is to read all the options before making a selection. Sometimes the first answer choice may seem correct, but a later choice might be a better fit. It's also beneficial to identify and eliminate the obviously incorrect answers. This process, also known as process of elimination, significantly narrows down your options, making the choice easier. In addition, always align your choice with the logic and tone of the argument. If an answer choice seems out of context or introduces new information, it's likely not the correct one. And what about distractions? Well, GMAT is notorious for its tricky answer choices. Some choices may seem appealing but are designed to lead you astray. It's essential to keep your focus on answering the question at hand and not get sidetracked by irrelevant details. Stay grounded in the argument's context and avoid assumptions that aren't supported by the given information. So, to sum up, dealing with varying difficulty levels involves maintaining a steady pace and a clear mind. Choosing the best answer requires a methodical approach, while avoiding distractions necessitates unwavering focus. Understanding the level of difficulty and how to navigate through answer choices are crucial skills for the GMAT. So, there we have it. A thorough exploration of GMAT critical reasoning questions. We've dived into the depths of argument construction, evaluation of a plan, and argument evaluation questions. We've learned how to build solid foundations of understanding, start by identifying the key components of an argument. We've sailed through the turbulent waves of varying difficulty levels, mastering the art of dealing with them. And we've honed our skills in identifying the best answer among the given choices, learning how to avoid the distractions that can often pull us off course. Remember, practice makes perfect, and consistency is key. The more you engage with these types of questions, the more adept you'll become at answering them. So don't hesitate to revisit this video and refresh your knowledge as often as you need. MCAN Institute trainers are there for your further support. Subscribe to MCAN Institute's channel for more insightful videos. Also, download the MCAN mobile app for exciting discounts on course fees. Until next time, keep practicing and stay focused.